Hey, stop me if you've heard this one. Naked blonde walks into a bar with a poodle under one arm and a 2-foot salami under the other. She puts the poodle on the table. The bartender says, "I guess you won't be needing that drink." The naked lady says, okay, in case you hadn't noticed, it's Sunday, and here I am, it's Vinyl Grooves, so welcome back, Vinyl Groovers. And I'm excited every week. I see my subscription rates going up. I appreciate that. And if you haven't liked and subscribed already, please do so. That'd be great. I'd appreciate it. One of the things that we're talking about today, and I veer a little bit from music this week, with everything going on in the world, you know, it seems so doom and gloom out there these days, and every time I look at that and turn on the TV, it seems I'm reminded of some new catastrophe heading straight on into the year 2020. So I've decided to put a little humor in my life, and in case you didn't notice from before the intro, my lead-in, I was pulling a joke from the old Breakfast Club movie with John Bender as he's crawling through the air ducts in the building, and right before he falls through the ceiling, you know, we never hear the punchline to that joke. Of course, if you ever follow Breakfast Club, you know that there is no punchline to that joke. It's all made up and ad-libbed by Judd Nelson. So what am I talking about today? Well, today we're going to be talking about comedy albums. You know, I've looked at a lot of vinyl community stuff, and there's all this stuff about different genres and soundtracks and jazz and everything else. You very rarely see anything on comedy albums. So I figured, why not? Let's talk about some comedy, because boy, do we need it this year. So that's what I've decided to talk about this week, are comedy albums that make me laugh or tickle my funny bone, either way. And that's what I wanted to bring to you guys today. So I'm going to start out with, to me, the godfather of comedy. Now, let me just preface all this by first saying, I know there's a lot of funny comedy albums out there, and I may not have the one you're thinking of. Let me also say, I haven't completed my comedy album selection either. There's some Red Fox I'd like to get, and some other ones. But these are ones I've acquired over some time, and I like to put them on. They make me laugh, and this day and age, I think that's important that we can all laugh. And what I think is more interesting is the fact that if you listen to some of these comedy albums from way back when, you discover that they might not be as politically correct as people like to do nowadays. And it makes me laugh even more, I think, is because of the idea that in the 1970s and 80s we were more tolerant than we are in today's day and age. But I'm not here for political debates or anything like that. I'm here just to talk about the vinyl, and I'm here to talk about this comedy. So first, I'm going to start with what I was starting to say was the godfather of comedy, in my opinion. He's a cerebral comedian, and he's somebody that really makes me laugh every time I listen to him. And that is George Carlin. George Carlin, you can't go wrong. If you're ever looking for comedy albums, or you're out looking at albums in your thrift stores or wherever, and you happen to come across the George Carlin album, highly recommend picking it up, because I'm going to tell you what, he is one of the funniest guys out there. And he has a cerebral sense of humor about him, where he basically talks about anything and everything. Of course, it's definitely an R-rated album. Lots of profanity, lots of sexual innuendo. So, you know, if you have small kids or what have you, you might not want to listen to George Carlin like that. In fact, most of the comedy albums I have would be considered R-rated albums. So just keep that in mind. These aren't something that you want to sit around and listen to with your small kids, or your if you have a church group that you go to, you don't want to put these on. This is something that, you know, if you have a bunch of friends that like raunchy humor or things like that, this is where to go. So George Carlin, highly recommend. This is just one of many albums that he has. This one is An Evening with Waldo Londo. And it is pretty hilarious. I'm not going to read the different skits because some of them are completely inappropriate to read. They make me laugh, but they're completely inappropriate to read out loud. So take a listen to it if you ever find it out in a while. Next is somebody from the 1970s, and it makes me laugh. If you go back to Saturday Night Live, and you think of, we're just two wild and crazy guys. This is Steve Martin. This is a great album. I mean, it really is. I believe this one has, and it does, look at the back, King Tut, the song. If you've never heard this song, I highly recommend you pause this right here. I guarantee you look on YouTube, you're going to find Steve Martin singing King Tut. Go find it, listen to it. It'll make you smile at least. Makes me laugh every time I hear it. But this is a really great album. Steve Martin, if you see this, pick it up because I guarantee you'll like it. I believe this is 1978. I have to take a look here with my old glasses on. Yep, I was right, 78. It's written by Steve Martin. So this, give it a shot if you haven't heard it already. Next, another Saturday Night Live alumni. In fact, I have a lot of Saturday Night Live alumni that I listen to because, you know, at one time Saturday Night Live was pretty funny. And sometimes it still can be, but I think it lost a lot of its hilariousness in the late 90s, early 2000s. It's never been able to capture the magic of the first season, really, you know. But what we do have is Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy's great. You know, most people nowadays only recognize him from Shrek, and, you know, if you can remember Beverly Hills Cop and all of that. But before all that, he did stand-up comedy, and some of his best albums, and one of my most favorite albums, and I haven't been able to put my hands on it with all the moving I've been doing, is Delirious, Eddie Murphy Delirious. If you haven't heard that album, highly recommend you put that album on and take a listen to it. This one's really good. I'm not going to go through all the names of the song, names of the acts or skits on here because of the language on them. But give it a shot. I think you might like it if you like a little bit of I don't know, insensitive humor, but it's still funny. You got to be able to laugh at things, and that's what's important. There's another Eddie Murphy album that I have. This has some of the same types of things on it there. The first one was from 1982. This was from 1983. This is really before, well, at the time he was starting to hit it big. Beverly Hills Cop, 48 Hours, those movies where his career really took off. And it's not until about like 1988, 89 that you're going to get Eddie Murphy Raw. And then he kind of starts doing kids movies, I guess, after that for a period of time where he did Dr. Dolittle and some other stuff. That's where a lot of people will remember him from. But the comedy albums, you go back to his comedy, he's quite humorous, quite hilarious. And I say give him a shot. Next, and these are for the people that lived in the 70s, and boy, I tell you what, these guys, they bring a lot of humor. They did several movies and made me laugh every time. This is Cheech and Chong, Cheech and Chong's wedding album. You can see on the back here, you know. This is a great album. It makes you laugh every time you hear it. Once again, I'm not going to go through all the tracks, but I can tell you it's definitely worth the listen. In fact, I have several Cheech and Chong albums just because they're funny. I know it's a lot of drug humor. I get that, but today's day and age, I think people can laugh at that a lot more than, well, I don't know if they can laugh at a lot more, but it was pretty funny back in the day. And they're still funny to this day. You know, there's Cheech and Chong. This is Los Cochinos album. This is another great Cheech and Chong album. And lastly, I have their other one, Cheech and Chong's Greatest Hits. As you can see, great comedy album. You know, if you're not familiar with Cheech and Chong, lots of marijuana humor, but you know, they make you laugh. If they were a great comedy team, they still are. I mean, they were on tour before the whole COVID thing happened, and I was looking forward to actually seeing them, but it didn't work out. Then I have, lastly, this is more modern, and this guy still does stuff. He's kind of gotten to a point where people have typecast him. His more recent movie, people were really surprised that he actually could act like he does. If you hadn't seen the movie Uncut, some people think it's just really boring and trite and just not really that great. But if you're looking at, as far as acting, his acting style has tremendously improved over the years with doing serious films. One of my favorite films that he ever did was, oh my goodness, it was a movie about 9/11, and it was a very serious movie. But I'm talking about Adam Sandler, and we're not going to talk about serious things, we're going to talk about comedy. This is his first album. This is a Record Store Day release from, I want to say, let's see, a couple of years ago. But this is his first album on vinyl. This has all the great stuff on it. It's got The Longest Pee, Fatty McGee. It has the Thanksgiving song on it. I mean, this is the album, if you haven't heard Adam Sandler and you want to hear Adam Sandler funny, this is the one. He really does a good job on this album. It has everything you want, all of his great hits. Lunch Ladyland, I mean, come on. Adam Sandler. This is when Adam Sandler was new, fresh, and on the scene, and people were loving him on Saturday Night Live, and he was beginning his career. So if you haven't heard this album, highly recommend you get this album. I also have a second album, another Record Store Day get that I got, as you can see. And it's a great album too. You know, I highly recommend either one of these. The first album by far is funnier. And like I said, it has Thanksgiving Day song, Lunch Ladyland, and all those great hits. But anyway, as a whole, the albums I'm showing you today, I think they bring a smile to my face, and that's what comedy is about. Comedy, it may not always be about laugh out loud, big belly laughs, but it's enough to get you out of whatever funk you might be in, whatever depression you might be going through. It gives you an opportunity to step away from that for a little while and just enjoy humor. So, like I said, with everything going on in today's day and age, we all need a little humor in our lives, and that's why I decided this week I'd truck out some comedy albums as opposed to music. It's not that I'm getting away from music, trust me, I'm going to get back to music next week. I was just thinking about everything, especially, look, I'm in an area, we had two hurricanes heading for us a few weeks back, and I have another one heading down the pike here. Supposedly on Tuesday, I think, is when it's supposed to come ashore. So, you know, it's one of those things. You know, you live near the Gulf, you're gonna get a nice visit by hurricanes, and this one is Sally. So, hopefully, if you're watching, Sally is a big fizzle and doesn't do anything to anybody, no harm. Just give us a little rain and move on. Because I hate to see anybody injured or hurt by a storm. So anyway, if you live in this region, make sure you listen to your responders, and they tell you to get out while you can. Otherwise, if you're going to hunker down with the storm, put on some music, and maybe I'll catch you listen to some great music. Just remember to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you next week. Bye-bye, everybody.